Thank you, Can Corla. And first of all, can I congratulate you on your new role. You described yourself yesterday as Banlorder. Well, I'd like to add Banlorder Oireachtas na Éireann, Oireachtas. And can I also congratulate the Minister on his appointment as chair of the Eurogroup. It's certainly a very prestigious appointment for him personally and for Ireland. And I suspect that the issue we're discussing here may be raised at some point in those discussions. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there are two aspects to this situation, and it's a complex one. First of all, there's the judgment in itself, but secondly, there's the wider implication of tax justice at a national and a global level. And while those two issues are connected, they are not the same in this instance. Now, the judgment itself is quite definitive in that it says the EU Commission did not succeed in showing that Irish tax authorities had granted Apple Sales International and Apple Operations Europe a selective advantage. It also delivered a stinging blow in that the European Commission must pay all costs. Apple and Ireland defended the case on 9 grounds, and some of them were successful. The Commission failed to show that state aid rules were breached. They also wrongly attributed the $13 billion to the ASI and AOE branches. So the story of this pot of gold, as my colleague Deputy McGrath referred to, was just that. Even if the Commission had found otherwise, that money would not have come here. Perhaps a portion of it, but it was not ours as such. The Commission was also wrong when it came to Irish tax law. It's worth noting that the European Commission, in their statements at the time of bringing the case, were highly political. Marguerite Vestager spoke of illegal tax benefits to Apple up to $13 billion. Now, that's a very strong statement and a very political statement from the Commission, and especially a high-profile commissioner like Vestager, who had such a global reach, and that was a serious blow. So the stakes were high, and in this, the Commission got it wrong. Now, it is not wrong to say that Apple avoided paying tax by using various tax mechanisms in Ireland. It did, and as we know, we have now got rid, for example, of the double Irish, and for good reason, because that kind of system facilitated multinationals to avoid paying corporation tax. But the Commission was wrong to say that competition law and state aid rules could be used to prevent this happening. But the Commission was right in saying that Apple paid an effective tax rate of 1% on its European profits in 2003. But what it was wrong in saying was that these profits could be attributed to the two Irish subsidiaries. So Ireland, in this incident, did not act illegally. You, Minister, said, and I quote, "There is a mismatch in international tax law, and state aid law does not create an appropriate mechanism to tackle this issue." That's true. But what's also true is that our tax laws allowed Apple to evade paying tax. Yes, the premise always was that Apple at some point would eventually repatriate its profits to the US and pay tax there. But the truth is, Minister, no taxpayer in this country could behave in that way. Say that we will pay taxes on the never-never in the future whenever we get around to it. Now, Ireland, of course, is a small country, and we have to look to our competitive advantages. And like many other small European countries, the Netherlands, Switzerland, we have used loopholes in international tax laws to facilitate large multinationals to evade paying their taxes, at least for now, as I said, on the never-never. Now, the revenue in Ireland has seen to it that the corporate tax receipts in Ireland are substantial, and indeed, by European standards, our per capita take on corporate taxes is one of the highest. So that's our dilemma. We have a system that delivers significant corporate tax revenues to Ireland, no matter what people say, but our tax laws still allow multinationals to evade paying tax. Yes, the double Irish comes to an end at the end of 2020, and in truth it should have come to an end sooner. But our new tax arrangements allow multinationals to receive capital allowances for expenditure on intangible assets, such as intellectual property. And given that most of the large multinationals are now digital companies, this mechanism may be used to evade paying their fair share of tax. And that, of course, is why the EU is pursuing a digital tax. But I suppose we say we have used the OECD, we have worked with the OECD, and we have, but the US is pulling out, so that's not working. Now, initially, Minister, I said this is a political issue because tax justice is a political issue, and I believe Ireland will have to be more proactive in ensuring large multinationals pay their fair share of tax. We cannot be responsible for fixing the international tax system, but we must work with our European partners and let Europe take the lead on tax justice. We need to reassess. Yes, we need to protect our revenues, but we also need to find ways with our European partners to tax multinationals. CCCTB wouldn't work for us because of the formula used to decide where the tax was paid. We'd end up, there'd be more tax paid, but we'd get less of it. Our country-specific recommendations for the last 2 years from the Commission tell us that we have to deal with aggressive tax planning. So, as I said, Minister, it's complex. We have to protect our revenues, but at the same time, we have to promote tax justice. And perhaps in that context, the suggestion from the Labour Party that a standing commission on taxation could play a significant role in teasing out these issues and arrive at an equitable system is something that we should consider.